James LaBrie, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, Justin. How are you guys doing, Daryl?
Dude, it's so good to see you right now, man. So good to see you.
Same, likewise.
Great
And
to
it's
see
good
you.
to see you guys are healthy.
Oh yeah,
That's the thing. That's the
Yep.
thing right there. North above
Absolutely.
ground. Yes.
Yes.
that's the key. It's always easy to overlook the good health.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm right.
I'll tell you what.
Okay.
Just the elephant in the room. Okay, I mean, congratulations on the Grammy. I mean, this is
Yes.
Wow.
bananas. You know.
Yeah. Listen, it's been a long time coming. Now, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but like, everybody knows the history here is like,
Right.
2012 and Foo Fighters won. And then, although Dave Grohl was a very stand up and classy guy, he said, as far as I'm concerned, Dream Theater should have won it. So
Mhm.
that was pretty damn
Mhm.
cool for him to say that. And so I called him up and I said, well, hand it over, Dave. It's fine. Anyways, so, and then in 2000, I don't even remember who won in 2014, guys.
Should have been
Wow.
you.
It might have been Mastodon or something like that.
Was it?
I think so. There was.
Yeah.
I remember they won one year, and look, it's one of those
Yeah, it
things you
doesn't
can't
matter.
you can't keep everybody happy. It's crazy.
No, you can't.
You know.
No. Hey, listen. No, but hey, listen. First of all, Foo Fighters is a great band, and so is Mastodon. Those guys
Oh,
are
yeah.
talented, man. Holy shit, they can play. They can play. Hey, but I gotta say, before we move on, I really love that white hat in the background.
You like
Holy
that?
shit. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm a rhinestone cow.
Let me give you a little taste of the new Justin Vigil right here. Here you go.
Oh, hey,
Yeah, I'm
that
moving.
is
Really
really
my
good.
my wife and I are
That
moving to
looks
Texas.
Really good.
I think I'm
Did
gonna
you?
wear this. I think I'm gonna wear this for a little bit. My
Yeah.
my wife and I are moving to Texas, and we were just out there looking at houses a couple weeks ago. And we're
Oh, so
walking
you're
around
not
Fort
out there
Worth.
yet?
No, 4
Oh,
weeks we'll be out there.
Oh, June. That's right.
Yep.
You told me that.
Yeah,
Because
and
I blew you off. I said, I'm not getting together with you.
yeah, you can't hang with any Texans. Yeah, exactly.
No
so
way,
what if I'm
no,
still yeah.
You know, I
But
would.
yeah,
would.
I fell in love with I was like, you know what? I gotta
Wow.
get a cowboy hat. So here I am.
Well,
And it kind of works with my large,
Holy shit,
but I
man.
feel the thing that's
You-
crazy is how good I feel in a cowboy hat. That's what's
Well, let me tell you
alarming.
something. You got enough room up there for two big, tall boys.
Mhm.
You know that, right?
I know.
Right?
And you know what else I like is I was waving down I was flagging down the Uber, this move, the old, hey, over here, it's something. And I'm glad you mentioned it.
Holy
Dude,
shit.
James,
So I can
you
give
gotta-
everybody
you gotta
the
hear him
visual.
talk
I've
to
been
you about.
What's
talking
that?
about it for a
What's
little
that,
while.
Daryl?
You got to hear him tell you about the hat etiquette that he's an expert on right now.
Oh yeah, did you
Oh,
know
is
about
that
this? There's
right?
like so there's
Okay.
there's a season for each type of hat. So like right now, like Easter, like first weekend of April through the end of the summer, it's like straw hats and light colored hats. And then
That's true.
after Labor Day, you switch to the felt fall material, dark,
I know
navy.
that with clothing. I do know that with clothing,
Yeah.
we're supposed to follow some kind of color scheme. I
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't know that with hats.
Yeah.
Because up here in Canada, we only get toques, eh?
Mm.
We
You
get
guys
toques.
is that what you guys call it there? Toques?
We call it toques. I believe you call it down there beanies,
Ah, there you
beanies,
go.
a toque and a
There you
beanie. I
go.
like that.
right?
I like that.
know,
I'm
but,
not mad about that at all.
It's
It's great.
toque.
So
Hey,
you're
s'il vous
the
plaît, give me-
Grammy.
Yeah.
Now everybody has to call you, Grammy winning James LaBrie. Have you put any
No, they
thought
don't.
into putting that in front of your name or permanently?
Yeah, well, it's crazy because I remember we were all texting one another and we were like, "Geez," I still think it's funny because the next day, John Bertucci texts me. He goes, "Holy shit, hey man! Like it's still like kind of seems somewhat surreal." And I said, "Yeah," and he said, "I think it's going to take me a couple days, before it really sinks in." And I said, "Yeah, same, likewise." And it's funny. Leading up to it, I didn't get myself all like, okay, yeah, this is it. We're gonna clinch this thing finally. I didn't. I didn't even because my family was around me and they're like, Dad, like like you do know the Grammys are going on right now. And I said, yeah, I know, but I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. And then when it happened, we were just like yeehaw and freaking dancing and yippee.
That's awesome.
So what's really cool though about all this, so guys, is that the Grammy Academy is giving this kind of recognition. And it's not like they haven't in the past given recognition to great music, right? But for a band like Dream Theater, and John Petrucci, he summed it up perfectly. Like his whole speech, he's well worded. Everybody knows that about him. And for him to make, I said, that was excellent. It was so cool for you to bring in the humorous side to it, because, you know, like we've always been criticized about our long, you know, our long songs and guitar solos and all that. And he says, go ahead and tap your foot to this. It's 17:18. Right. And it was great because it kind of, like, to me, I said, you know, the whole Academy, the Grammy Academy, like I think they're realizing that everybody wants to see it like fair game, you know, and when you're getting into certain categories that, you know, everyone needs to be, they definitely need to be recognized for what they do, for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. Like the last couple of years, I mean, I know between the Buried and Me, you know, they're great friends of ours and past guests on the show, and they were nominated last year, and it was like, whoa, that's crazy, you know. I think, and then whoever they, you know, I think Converge or somebody won, but you know, there's all that stuff that goes into it. But it was kind of, I was at WrestleMania in Texas, and I just happened to check my phone. I completely forgot it was the Grammys, and I guess I've just interacted with the word just Dream Theater in Google long enough that it popped up. It was like Dream Theater wins Grammy. And I was like, holy shit, that's crazy. You know, like it was more like, it was not, it was like, not that it was disbelief that it was just like, I can't believe.
No, I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like not shocked they won, like the underdog. It was like,
right.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, this is the year they get it. Okay. All right, great. You know?
I know, right? Yeah.
Even though it's like every time you've been up, it's like, well, come on, what would, you know? But anyway, it's
now I know how Leonardo Dicaprio felt.
Yeah, he's got a. Yeah, what did he end up getting it for?
Oh shit!
Was it Wolf of Wall Street? Well, we'll come back to the movies here because there's something I want to talk to you about that.
Oh, okay.
But you know, the other thing that's going on is with Dream Theaters, you guys have been back on the road. How is that getting back out there and getting the swing of things?
Well, you know, Jesus, come on, Kev, get that brain going, dear. Right? See, I didn't even refer to myself as Kev. How many freaking interviews have I done today?
That's a deep cut. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Anyways, well, you know, it was funny because the first show was in Phoenix on February 2nd. That was our first show. It was 3 weeks to the day shy of 2 years. Crazy. It was freaking crazy. And so we went on, you know, the first show was sold out. We went on, and it's funny because we came off after the show and we're like, holy shit, you know, it felt so great to be back doing something that you love to do, you know, and I said it even to you know, the fans for several nights while we were out there. I said, you don't realize how much you miss something until you get back into it. It's that simple. Like once you start doing it again, you're like, wait a minute, holy shit. Because I think to a certain degree, it identifies who and what you are and why you do what you do. And it's not until you're like fully engaged within that again that you have that appreciation and you realize just what it means to you and how much of you is a part of that. So, but, you know, I would say, now that being said, I would say that it probably took us about a week where we felt, okay, we're in the groove, autopilot, here we go, you know, and that's what happened. Took about a week, I think.
You know, it's so cool to see everybody back on the road, and I know it's been a challenge for everybody and for the fans too. And you know, I think you nailed it when you say like, it's not, people think it's like, oh, you don't know, you missed it till it's gone, but it's not that. It's like, then you do it again, you get a little taste of it again. You're like, oh, that's why I put myself through all this. Aha.
Yeah.
It's the love, sure. It's the energy, you know, that can't be matched. And
no, it can't.
You know, there were quite a few things that popped up that were making news. You know, Dream Theater fans know what I'm talking about. We're not going to get into all that, but you know, is it refreshing for you to know that, like, even though you've had this long, maybe not refreshing is the right word, but going back out on the road and being like, there had to be a party that's thinking like, well, what's the response going to be? Is anybody going to care? It's been a couple of years, like, to come out there and know that, like, oh no, we're still Dream Theater. Like, this is still, you know, one of the best shows you can get for your money. And, you know, you guys are going to kill it every night. Like, how does that feel?
Well, you know what was interesting to us is that I don't think a lot of our fans thought we were going to actually go out. because you remember the tour in October, we pulled out
Right.
for several reasons. We just pulled out. One of them being the most important one was that we just didn't feel comfortable, for going out. Most of us, I shall say.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Okay. And I think that once the fans said, holy shit, so they actually did play in Phoenix? Oh, wait a minute. They did do LA. They did, and once that started happening, all of a sudden, we're finding out that, well, hey man, guys, tickets are going through the freaking roof, and like they're really starting to sell out, right out of the box, and for every day now for the rest of the shows that are still to come up. Because for the most part, most of the shows were like half sold, maybe almost 3/4 sold before when we got out there. And then once we got out there, it was just like bang, 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 bang. All of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, we're playing in front of full houses, with the exception of a few. You know what was the most surprising city that we hit? And it was because they had all these restrictions, was Chicago. Because we usually go, go into Chicago and it's freaking totally sold out, right?
Yeah.
And we went in there, and I swear to God, guys, it was half full. Wow. And then we talked to the promoter, and I'm like, what happened here in Chicago? Because usually this place is stuffed. And they're like, yeah, guys, some restrictions have come down, and you guys aren't the first ones that come through here in the last couple of weeks, where it's half full. And we're like, it didn't add up. And then, next night, I think we were in, or maybe it was the night before, we were in Minneapolis or something like that. I don't know. And it was freaking full. So it's like, what? Anyways, it's all good. It's all good.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think,
and we were expecting that most of the rooms, to be honest with you, before we even started the tour, we thought they were going to be half full, because that's what we had been told by other bands, by our agents and so on. Hey guys, it's not, even though you guys are getting back into it, it's still not the norm. And we're like, okay, fair enough. And now we're going, Northern Ireland to play our first show in Belfast. And then we, Newcastle, and then Wembley Arena in London. And then the rest is all throughout Europe. That's not going to be normal. Like, are you freaking kidding me, with this maniacal, narcissistic freaking psychopath starting the war in the Ukraine? Like,
right.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
And if that guy isn't, well, I don't even want to go there, guys. But I will say he has to be held accountable.
I think everything. I think all crimes. That it comes full circle.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that we're going to be going through Europe, and we already know there's going to be like places like we're booking Krakow, Poland.
Yeah, probably not. That's probably going to not.
It might not even happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Croatia.
And how do you plan for that?
There's Istanbul, Turkey. And like,
you run the risk of,
like,
yeah.
And those places, like, it's just horrible what they're having to contend with. They're trying to bring in as many refugees as they can, and it's horrible. But what the hell am I doing here? Like, let's stay on a positive trajectory. So
I do. I gotta throw in one little complaint here, James. We're all friends here, but I'll tell you what, man, you got to bring Devin Townsend that package to the U.S. I don't know how else I'm going to.
Well, he's a fellow Canuck,
I don't know how else I'm going to bump into this guy.
I'll show him a hockey stick and a puck, and he'll do North America with us.
Please make it happen. I just need to see that. That would be an ideal evening of music for me.
I'll buy him a dozen freaking Timbits, from Tim Hortons, and he'll be right there with us. No, that would be a great package. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, for sure. Devin's freaking awesome. And the first 3 shows that we're doing is with Tesseract.
Right.
And they're a great band too.
Another great band.
Yeah. But Devin, it's gonna be great, because I know he's a really funny guy.
Yeah.
We've done a few shows with him here and there, like in festivals, and like he'll come right in, James, and he just gets going. And I'm like looking at him going, man, dude, you're on a different level.
He is. He really is. Every time you're on, we talk about our mutual love for Devin Townsend. Yeah, he's
great.
He's incredible.
Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, it's great to see, live music come. And I had some, shall I say, extenuating circumstances that kept me from the Philly show. And
well, probably because I threatened you.
The threat,
that would probably
the
be the
threats
first
from James LaBrie. Yes, of course. That and this traveling back and forth, moving to Texas.
No, I get it. I get it. And
it was the first.
You explained it, man.
Yeah, it was the first. It was the first Dream Theater show I've missed since like 2007. And I was thinking like how many times I've seen you, and then I started going back through some of my old. Just I have every ticket stub that I've ever. I'm like one of those guys, and I
totally believe it. Yeah,
and just seeing
I do. Well, listen, look, I'm seeing what you do, and like if you didn't collect all those stubs, man, I think there's something wrong here. It's a contradiction.
No, it makes sense. It fits. Yeah, it fits.
Right.
But it's been cool to see you guys evolve into this, bigger and bigger and more mainstream. And not that you want to be mainstream, but it's just it's good to like be like recognized in your field, like to kind of circle it all together with Dream Theater. And the Grammy's part of that, and seeing it every now and then you hear there's like there was some hockey team that was playing As I Am as an entrance for a little bit, I remember. And
was that right?
Yeah.
Or like an NHL team.
Yeah, I'll find it, I'll send it to you. But
or Little League.
Yeah, the local Pee-wee Pond League. Yeah.
As I Am.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So, all right, the real reason we're here, to talk today is, you told us about this last time you're on the podcast, which was October 2021. You've got a new solo album about to release here. Inside Out Music, beautiful shade of gray. I got a copy of it. I listened to it all day long. I listened to it through headphones, listen to it in my car, listen to my little speaker, listen to my home theater. That's how I like to absorb music. I try to get it on every little thing
I do the same thing, man. I do the exact same thing.
Certain things hit you.
Absolutely.
They hit you a different way when you're driving 55 miles an hour home from work, and I have my sunroof open.
You and Sammy Hagar, for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, man, like not just because you're sitting here, I'm always complimenting you. I always preface my compliments with that, James. But it's definitely my favorite solo album you've done. And the reason why I like it so much, before we talk about the ins and outs and the details,
give me those fucking Timbits right now.
Yeah, this is an elaborate. This is a long play to.
Oh my God, no! Keep going, though, buddy.
So, what I like about a lot of times when people do, they're in a big established band, they do a solo album, it becomes kind of like it could be interpreted as their version of their band that they're already in, and it sounds, if you listen to like. I think a good example is like Stone Sour and Slipknot, where like at a certain point they definitely took a shift, but at first it was like just like sort of Slipknot, but the same people. It was weird.
There's many parallels.
Right. Absolutely. It didn't really. And then once they started to put a distance between it, it was like, well, I've got a diverse taste in music. I like this here, and I like these guys doing it here too. And like Devin Townsend's another good example of that, where you have this broad dynamic range of like what he offers, and if you don't like this particular version of it, there's all this other stuff.
Correct.
And your previous solo albums are very intense and they're bombastic, and it's almost like the things I liked about those was that it's like different drumming, different guitar, but it was still in the same vein of Dream Theater. It didn't feel like you were trying to be Dream Theater, but it was like I felt like if it was
there was more pop sensibility definitely going on in that, but it was with heavy
right. It felt like I could feel that heaviness. This record is like, I love listening to you sing and hearing you singing this whole different energy of music. And it's like, it's almost like, I'm a big Nicolas Cage fan. And it's like, if all of a sudden Nicolas Cage is in a Marvel movie, it's like, well, shit, now I'm in. I was like a peripheral fan here of the Marvel movies, but now you got my favorite actor in this kind of thing that I don't really listen to a lot, which is like this bluesy, acoustic driven, but then all of a sudden I'm hearing like proggy keyboard leads in the background and like some really, and we'll talk about the drumming and chants in a minute, but really tasteful, powerful drumming and just so much space in the music. And then your voice that I love from Dream Theater. And it's like, all of the things that I like about different types of music kind of put together, and it's uniquely you. And like, it felt like when I'm listening to it, I was like, wow, this is totally different than anything I've heard him do, and that's
Yeah,
that's what I like seeing when somebody goes like they're them in this totally new world. So
right.
I love it, man. I'm really
Thank
digging it.
you. Thank you. Here's the thing is that, and I really appreciate all that you just said, that that really touches me deep. And I'm being very, very serious with you right now. Okay. I can't tell you how much longer I'm going to be serious, but I am right now. Okay. So, that being said, like, here's the thing is that, I at some point, and Matt Guillory and I, we've stayed in touch over the years, because listen, it's been 9 years since we did Impermanent Resonance, the last solo album. And, you know, all those songs, all those albums that I wrote with Matt, I am extremely proud of because I think it's great stuff. And I've had so many fans come up to me and say, "Man, I absolutely love your solo albums." And I go, "Well, let's use that term loosely because we use my name, but really it's a concerted effort, and everyone is integral to making those albums what they are, especially Matt and I because we're writing it." So the thing is that with this, Matt and I kept trying to say, "Well, are we ever going to find an opportunity to do this?" And life just has its way of like where time just slips away, correct? And that just
Absolutely.
happens. And my priority has always been, of course, Dream Theater. And Dream Theater is this cyclical freaking big engine that just keeps getting revved up, and it's a 2-year cycle. Okay, let's write, record, and then let's go on tour and for another 14 to 18 months. And then let's take some time off and let's do it all over again. And that's extremely satisfying, gratifying, and freaking I love it more than anything. But at the same time, it's time consuming. And to find those windows where you're not really engaged in something else, it's hard. It's not that it's impossible, but it's hard. And, I have a family too, right? I am a human being, and I want to be able to do other things in life, because it's important and it keeps that equilibrium. But when it came time, and everybody knows the situation, I bumped into Paul Logue at the Glasgow airport. That was a serendipitous situation there, and maybe for a reason. And it was, and because of that, it was the catalyst that got us to write this album. And then obviously the pandemic also lent itself to creating and providing that window of opportunity. But I said to Paul right off from the get-go, I said, "Listen, man, I want to do something completely different because I want to show another side of me." And I've always paid so much homage and tribute because it was one of my biggest influences and inspirations in life, was that when I was a kid and I was listening to the classic rock bands, like primarily Led Zeppelin and Queen and Deep Purple, like these bands. Now, of course I was huge about Rush and yes, and Pink Floyd, and like all those bands, of course they were, I was playing that stuff, listening to that stuff. And then my dad was also getting me into Miles Davis and saying, "Listen to this guy, this guy's, his trumpet is his voice, and the melody sense in this man is endless, it's limitless." So I was brought up in a very eclectic musical environment, but to me it was always Zeppelin that stood, and they still stand the test of time. Their stuff is timeless. If that band came out today, they would blow the doors off of everything, and they would be the sensation of the world. Because for them to have created what they created from 1968 to 1979 in 11 years, if you listen to their catalog, it's mind-boggling. Like these guys, everybody in their respective instrument is the top of their field. One of the best vocalists in rock and roll, one of the best freaking bass players and drummers. And then you got Jimmy Page, producer, mixer, writer. Like, what the hell's going on here? So I said to Paul, I go, "I want to do something that will really be somewhat experimental. It could be considered bold and fearless and daring, and I said, but at the same time, I know that if you and I, because Paul Logue, the reason I wanted to do this album with him is when I had done that song with Eden's Curse, No Holy Man, back in 2011, I said, "Hey, like, who's writing some of this stuff?" And Paul said, "Well, I am." And I said, "Well, I love it because it reminds me of the classic rock era." And I love that approach because it's very melodically driven. but it has this, like you said, Justin, that bluesy approach, organic acoustic, because you can take any Zeppelin song and strum it on an acoustic and sing with it, and it still sounds freaking amazing. That's, to me, brilliant. And I said, that's what we have to create here. I want to create an amazing acoustically driven album, but very organic and raw sounding. But, you know, that's why we brought in the whole full ensemble, like bringing in keys and piano, because Christian created that atmospheric and orchestral element to the album, you know, and then bringing in Marcos Foley. Well, that to me is what separates the men from the boys, is when you start playing solos on an acoustic guitar, you better know what the hell you're doing, because you're naked and upfront, you know? And this whole album is about that. It's like everybody is heard for what they're worth, you know? And now at that point, I have to give credit and a lot of credit to Linus Corneliuson, who mixed this album. And he did a phenomenal job. Like, just, you hear everything. You hear all the subtleties, the nuances, the inflections, you know? But I'm going to stop talking because holy shit.
I gotta
you guys haven't said a word in about
I gotta
4 hours.
Yeah, I gotta jump in. So
Yeah.
you started off saying that you wanted to say something or show a different side of yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Brother Jay, you listen to this in many different mediums, like you say, at work, you're in the car, you know, and you're at home, right?
Yeah.
I do it while I'm moving 1,000,000 miles an hour here at NFL Films, which I'm at right now. I'm at the job, and I was sitting down, and I was listening to Devil and Drag, and I sat back in my chair just like this, and I said to myself, son of a bitch, he's great. He's amazing. And the reason, and this is the reason why, this is the reason why I'm saying that, because of what you just told us. You were trying to show a different side of yourself that you hadn't seen before. And and the words that you were singing, you run away from all your lives in life. You're all alone and you're on your own. And that just really, I don't know, it just kind of took over the better portion of my workday. And I thought about it, and it took me back to Maya Angelou when she said, the greatest agony is bearing an untold story inside you. And when I took myself back to that place, I tied myself to your lyrics and I said, fucking James is trying to show us something that he hasn't seen before. And then you go on and you say just that right here. And to me, I want to know, what are you trying to say? What are you trying to show to your fans with these singles? Because there's something coming out, man. And I'm digging what you're putting down. I promise you. It's like in the back of my spine. It's been there all day.
Wow. I'll tell you what, guys, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get out of this freaking room because my head's pretty damn big.
That's what we're good for. Old shine job.
No. But Daryl, I really appreciate what you're saying there. And so let me understand you though correctly. Well, first of all, shit, man, you're going to have to like send me what you just said there, and who wrote that again? And because I like to read stuff like that. And I like to look at people like that, because that to me is like, that's deep, that's profound, and we need to be hit up with more stuff like that, because I think it also shows us who we are deep down inside to the core. Lyrically though, Daryl, like if like on that song, I was actually speaking, like Devil and Drag is a metaphor for ball and chain. And if we go through life and we have absolutely no regard for anyone else or consideration, and we're insensitive and we're narcissistic and we're a bully, and we don't necessarily start out that way, but unfortunately some of us choose the path, and that's why the album cover is what it is. Like, you have a choice in life. You can choose that path and be dark and deceptive and horrible, or you can choose the brighter path and, you know, engage with people and accept people and respect people and be kind. It's not freaking hard to do, you know. But with this song, I was thinking of, you know, there was my source of inspiration was just my observation of people and people that I've met, not anybody that was really close to me, but just over the years, and seeing these people and realizing who they were in a very short time, that they were narcissistic, you know, self-absorbed, inconsiderate, insensitive. But that they made that choice. And I always remember saying in the back of my head, sooner or later, you're going to be held accountable. And sooner or later, you're going to be found to be by yourself and saying, was this all worth it? Because I've ruined so many people's lives. Or, what I've done is I've, started so many grass fires, and who gives a shit about, the fallout from that, because look at what I've got. And it's like, no, at some point, man, you're going to be having to reflect on all that. And it's not a good place to be. So, but and there's many lyrics on this album where I'm just, I'm talking about, that's why I titled the album Beautiful Shade of Gray, because that is being a human being, right?
Yeah.
Is that there's the beautiful side of us, like where we can, first of all, the fact that we're alive here in this existence, that's mind-boggling enough, and that's a miracle. But you just have to look around you and see all the beauty in the world. We're inundated with bad stuff, but the fact is that there's a lot of good going on too in the world. And the beautiful side of it is that, we have our victories and we have our triumphs and we have love and we have appreciation for so many people in our lives. The other flip side of that is that we carry around a certain level of sadness, and it might be because, we all reflect on this as well at night where, it's dark. And just before falling asleep, and we're thinking about our mortality and existence in itself. And it is unexplained. Nobody has the definitive answer. Nobody knows exactly where this is going. But at the same, and I'm not trying to be freaking morbid here. I'm just saying that we all carry around that level of sadness, saying, I personally believe that there's something that's beyond our comprehension that awaits us. And it's only because that this is all that we can handle at this point in our evolution of existence, but there's many layers to it as well. So that's what I believe, that there's somewhere that we're going, but we don't need to know at this point, and somebody would say, well, that's convenient. And I'm like, well, there's been other theories out there. So if you want to lock into them, you go for it. Okay. And, they're quite wealthy from those theories, by the way, So anyways, that's my thing, but I really appreciate you saying that, Daryl and Justin, because, that was my intention, is that I wanted to do something different. And I wanted to really show people that, there's many layers to me as a musician, a writer, and as a vocalist. I keep always pushing myself to show other sides of expression and being evocative and being emotional. And I think a voice is one of the most powerful tools for really touching deep within people, and music is a miracle itself, because music brings us all together. There's no borders. There's no preconceived. There's no prejudice. There's nothing like that. Everything comes together when it comes to music. We all are united.
Yeah, absolutely. Last time you were on, you were just in the process, I think, of wrapping it up. And, you were saying then, like, I can't wait for you guys to hear it and hear what you think about it. And when you said it was an acoustic album, and then when I got it and I'm listening to it, I'm like, this is not exactly what I expected. And I had heard Devil and Drag, the single a couple of weeks ago. And this, by the way, this podcast is, by the time you're listening to this, Everyman and Everywoman, I'm in my Jeep on the way to Texas with my wife and my dog. So, it comes out May 20th and everybody will get their hands on it. So we're a couple of weeks early. But when I heard it, I was like, whoa, this is like way more, there's a heavy groove to it. Like where, when we landed in Texas a couple weeks ago, I was like, what are we going to listen to? And I was like, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Perfect. That's Texas cruising music right there. Yeah. And you listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan and it's like, maybe it's just because I'm like a metal guy, but you hear the heaviness. There's like a heaviness that goes through the world of music that sometimes it expresses itself in blues or country or where you're like, you're not expecting it. You're like, it's kind of heavy. It's got a driving groove. And every single one of these songs, has that kind of driving heaviness. And that's what, the mix on it, like you said, is like just huge. I have a 10 speaker thing in my car, my Jeep, and it's all over the place. And I was really able to like kind of,
Yeah, it's high fidelity, man. It's
yeah,
like it's just gorgeous.
It's impressive. Now,
Yeah.
you know, one of the other things I love about this is our boy Chance, who, you know, Chance has become a friend of mine here, and you know, friend of the show. Him and the boys from Fawcett have been on the podcast a couple times. We love them, and you know, Chance is on the drums and had a big part of the, you know, making of the record with you. What's that like for you, having that finished, you know, product coming out, and it's your son on drums, and it's like almost like a father-son thing? How's that feel?
Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I mean, like, yeah, you know, Chance can stand on his own. Like, he is a great drummer, and he's very musical, very musically inclined, and just to be able to do something like this with him, it was somewhat like a little surreal, you know, like, you know, I remember because Chance recorded all my vocals. He was the engineer, and he was like, I was right here in the studio recording vocals, and it was so funny because Chance was always blatantly honest with me. Like, he'd go, "Come on, Dad, you need to use this voice. You remember that voice you did here on this song or that song?" And, you know, and I'd love to hear that in this section, you know. And I'd be like, "Oh, I know what you're talking about," you know, because he knows that every time whether it's a Dream Theater song or any songs on this album or any other thing that I do, I always think about the voice that I want to create for that song because of the lyrics, because of the vibe of the song, you know. And so that kind of steers me down the right path as far as the kind of voice that I feel that it needs, that will really convey the message both musically and lyrically. Even if you don't know English, you'd still get the vibe just from the emotion in the voice, you know, which I think is up to every singer to do. You know, that is the responsibility. But so, you know, it's funny because he would do his drum tracks, and then I would, like, you know, he'd come back and he'd go, "Well, what do you think?" You know, because he didn't want me around when he was doing that shit. So, and that's fine. I don't care, you know. And there was only a few times that I even wanted to make suggestions for tweaking this or tweaking that. And it was really cool because I'd say to him stuff like, you know, I want you to think Larry Mullen from U2 in this song. I want you to think John Bonham in this song. And I said, you know, that's another reason why what they do is so brilliant, because on the surface, it sounds simple, but it's not. It's well thought out. And there's a reason for everything, why these guys play their instruments the way that they do, you know? And so Chance would go away with this and think about this. And he came in, and it was great because he also became a part of like working with Paul and I. And Paul was the guy that actually suggested working with Chance. Paul Loeb. It wasn't me. Like, Paul said, "I'd really love to work with your son on this album. Do you think he'd be into it?" And I said, "Oh, shit, I'll ask him. I'm sure he'll be into it." And then, you know, of course, Chance said yes. And Chance was involved with the arrangements too. Like, when Paul and I were done writing a song, and we'd like be going, "Okay, so this is how it's going." And he'd be like, "Wait a minute, guys. Like, you know, I was thinking this, and, you know, let's trim the fat there, and what the hell is going on here, and why are we playing that section again?" And it was really funny because Paul and I would step back and go, "Okay, wait a minute. He's making us think about this a little bit more, a little deeper." And the end result is what you heard on the album. And it was funny because it got to the point where Paul and I were talking on our own, and Paul was even saying, you know, he should get co-producer credit because he was that involved with this stuff. And I said, "Yeah, I agree." Even though Paul and I produced it, you know, Chance was a big part of it. And that's not to take anything away from Christian Polkinen, because, like I said to you, like, that guy brought in so many amazing levels of instrumentation, and that really allowed these songs to breathe and created that atmosphere and created that, you know, that depth that was needed and that orchestral feel to these songs. And so that was extremely important. But you know what? It was amazing at times, man. I'd be back there and I'd be talking to him, and I have a TV screen in there too. And I would say to Chance, I go, "Holy shit, Chance, hang on a second. Jesus Christ, you're talking to me there, man." I said, "Wait a minute. I held you in my freaking arms at one point. You're this little bitty thing, and now you're 23 years old and telling me what to do." And it was such a great experience, and you know, it just to like affirmation that, like, holy shit, like, this is cool that we're able to do this together, you know? Wow. And yeah, it was an amazing experience. It really was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things, and I've mentioned this before, you know, my father, who loves Dream Theater. Him and
Isn't that who I first met you with?
Yes. You've met my dad. Yeah. And my dad and I got to share music together for a number of years. And with his work in the church, and it was always something that I cherish now, especially as I'm getting older, and like I can relate to how I know how much that means to Chance. I know how much that means to you.
Yes.
And Daryl and I talk about it, and it's just, like you said, he stands, and I'll tell him the same thing when he's on here, but there's some spots, and I pick it apart like anything else I listen to. I have these same conversations with Mike Mangini about his drumming. Like I enjoy it. I'm a hobbyist,
Yeah,
and picking it apart. And there's so many little tasteful nuances that sound like a veteran drummer, that you could tell. And I know he's a young guy, but I know he's smart in the game of drumming, where he's hurt, where he would do things where, somebody who's been around it playing so long at a high level, like, oh yeah, that's exactly that's what you do right there, and I can hear the influences that he's coming, but like just from somebody who's been down that road, to hear him at such a young age, and like then he sends me, whether it's Kickstart My Heart or this Medulla Oblongata, which I love the reference.
It's a great track, isn't it?
It is. It's killer. It's killer.
God.
They've got a great.
Zach sounds freaking awesome.
Zach is I can't believe they had to figure out that he was a singer still. That doesn't make any sense to me, but
hey man, I was saying, hey, Chance, I was saying to him at one point, I'm like, I don't want to take away from your current singer, but what are you doing? And he's like, what are you talking about, Dad? I'm like, you have heard Zach's demos, right? And Chance is like, you know what? I've said something about this. And I said, well, then you need to keep saying it. Because I said, this guy's got a great voice. What the hell, man?
Yeah,
they've
got something special there. But anyway, hearing he totally stands on his own. And like you said, he's 23 years old, but he's playing like he's
24 now. He's
24 now.
Yeah.
But he's getting there.
Yeah.
But it's really cool to see, and to have a little bit of a peek behind the curtain and know what's going on. It's like to see it come out. And I think when it comes out here on May 20th, you can pre-order it now on digital and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes out and you get a hold of it, I think you'll hear why we're so excited about it and why it's fresh. And I'll tell you what, I remember one time I told you, I want to see you guys play Viper King. I fucking love that song. When I hear that, I know, like, I hear that, right? And then we have this conversation about this record.
Yeah.
And when I was driving home today, I was listening to it. I was thinking, I wish you would do like a cover record of like that kind of, like, because I felt like I tapped into like who you are, like who your musical skeleton is almost. And because all about all the prog stuff, but like I've never thought about your singing in the light of, like you said, all these, Deep Purple and and Zeppelin. It shows.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
totally.
Viper
Those
King.
Those guys were huge to me, man. Like even like listening, I was, I still remember as a kid listening to early freaking Aerosmith, like Get Your Wings and Rocks, and like these guys, Toys in the Attic and stuff like that, because Steven Tyler, I was like, wow, this guy's got a cool freaking voice, and he's got a vibe, and he's charismatic, and he knows how to use his voice, and it's the same thing that attracted me to Freddie Mercury, like an amazing writer, but at the same time, he just knew he wasn't scared to use any part of his voice. I still remember being around some friends of mine, and then Freddie would go into his, he started doing all that falsetto stuff. The guy go, man, what you doing that for, man? That's wimpy. I'm like looking at him. And I still remember I'd be about 14. I'm looking at him going, you don't fucking get it. You don't fucking get it. I'm not even going to say anything. It's not worth it. It's not.
Story of my musical taste life there is just being like, you just don't, you're not going to get this.
You just not get it. It's not, I'm not even going to say anything. It's not fucking, you're a waste of time. Get out.
Do you see yourself getting a chance to tour on any of this material?
Yeah. When I'm on my 90th birthday, I'm going to go and do all the solo albums.
Oh, perfect.
No, actually we are talking about it. And like Paul and I were talking the other day, and we talked with this, like some promoters and stuff like that. And we're shooting that we want to try and make this a reality sometime spring 2023.
I'll be there.
Now don't hold me to it, guys, because I don't want you to hurt me. Okay. But listen, I think that you know, and I'm hitting up my management. I'm saying, you know, Dream Theater management, hey man, you gotta get me whatever shows it is that we are doing. Come on, like let me know, right? Because I have a pretty good idea what we're going to be doing up until Christmas. But I said, you know, beyond that, and they're like, well, you know, we're still working that shit out. And I said, yeah, but I want to be able to do this other thing, you know, even if it's a couple weeks here or a couple weeks there. I still need to know I have that window. Mm-hmm. So we'll see, but that's what we're looking at. We're trying to imagine that this could be a reality in May, you know, of 23.
That's fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. So Beautiful Shade of Gray everywhere. Music is available May 20th. Inside Out Music. By the way, thank you very much to Inside Out Music for connecting the dots there. Very excited to see how everybody, you know, it's a great spring for the LaBrie crew, you know. Fall set, Grammys. By the way, when do you get the Grammy? Did you get it yet? Do you get one? Does everybody get one?
Well, everybody gets one. That's probably why they don't want to give it to bands, because it costs them more money. Hey, they don't get it. How many guys are in that band? 7? No.
Yeah, too many.
Way too many.
It's 21 pilots again. There's only 2. Yep. Only 2 guys.
Too much gold. Way too much gold.
You know what? I don't think I probably won't get it until like I'm back from this European tour. Like they always send us a plaque. Like even when we were just nominees, you know, they'd always send us a really nice plaque. So we'll definitely get it. I'm imagining that John went home with that thing.
Oh, who's going to take it from?
Maybe I'm
nobody.
Go to
Not
John's
from those guns.
House.
Yeah, he looked pretty.
Go to John's house late at night. Break in.
Pretty jacked up there. You know,
grab it off the mantle.
Dave's LaBrie in jail, busting into his bandmate's house.
Yeah, you guys
it's
have
my
to share
Grammy too. It's mine.
Yeah, but it's mine.
It's like the Stanley Cup. You have to share it for the first couple weeks.
Yeah, right.
You know, once you get yours,
it'll be a couple months, but we each get one.
When you get yours, send me a picture. You drinking some champagne out of it or something silly.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, for sure.
Maple syrup. I don't know what you guys
maple syrup. Now that's a good one, Justin. Thank you very much.
Man.
Holy shit.
So on the topic of
God. You know, I used to like you, Justin.
Maple syrup.
Oh man, I couldn't help myself. All right. You know, on the topic of new music, man, is there anything you've been listening to lately that's piqued your interest? You just been busy boy.
You cannot ask me that. I am not kidding you, man. I have really just not. Oh, wait a minute. My daughter turned me on to this girl from Norway. Is it Sigris? Have you heard of her?
No. What's the deal there?
Sigris. And
I'll put that in my right now.
But it's different, man. It's like it's more pop alternative. You know?
Sigrid?
Sigris. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the way she said it. Sigris.
Yeah. It's like spelled Sigrid.
Yeah.
Yeah, there she is.
No,
yeah.
Oh, is it D?
Sigrid.
Oh my God. And I was calling her Sigris. Oh, Gris.
Oh, it's okay. We figured it out now. There won't be 500.
Oh, I know this chick. That strangers deal she sang.
Yes.
Dude, she's got a beautiful voice.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does. So yeah, so Chloe just turned me on to her like I don't know, but 24 hours ago, guys. But beyond that, guys, I haven't really been listening to anything. I haven't. I just been like my head's in a freaking tunnel here, and I'm doing tons of promotion for Beautiful Shade of Gray. And then beyond that, I'm just getting myself ready because I'm leaving in a few days to start another tour with Dream Theater. So, but maybe, you know, I'll get out on the road there and I can be sitting back and listening to some new music. If you guys have suggestions, man, please send it my way.
I'll tell you what.
Because that stuff, like that's what keeps us sane on the road too, is listening to new artists and stuff and great music, period. Yep.
The new Meshuggah album. I don't know how you feel about
Meshuggah.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. They just keep getting crazier and crazier and heavier and heavier. It's unbelievable.
They're crazy for sure.
Animals as Leaders. They have a new album out too. Okay. That again.
The singer's awesome, isn't he? He's a great singer.
Oh, he's best singer in the biz. Yeah. Yeah. Totally silent.
You should have seen the look on your face, Justin. You should have seen.
I was like, "There's no way." Shit. Yeah, I said
I
no.
He's tell James there's no singer in that band.
Yeah.
Trust me, they did some shows with us.
Yeah, they're. I mean, they're just on another level. And Ghost, they got a new record out. Another great vocalist there. But
yeah.
I know you're a fan of the Joker. You're a movie guy, Batman guy. Did you get a chance to see the new Batman movie?
And here's the thing. John Petrucci went out and saw it, and he asked me if I'd come out, and I said, no, I'm chilling out tonight. I'm good for that, eh? Like you asked me out for lunch. I said, nope, I'm chilling out.
Yeah.
So Daryl, go ahead. You can ask me, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to tell you I'm chilling out.
Chilling out.
Okay.
Well, it comes.
No, I haven't seen it, but you know what? I've heard a lot of great things about it. And wait a minute. Wasn't Colin Farrell?
Yeah, he's the Penguin.
He's the Penguin.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't even know it was him, did they?
You can't tell at all.
You can't.
Right.
It's crazy.
You cannot.
Isn't that crazy?
Well,
freaking crazy, man.
Lucky for you, it comes out on.
Go see it, man. Yes.
Well, it's out on digital this weekend, so you have to watch it. But it's very. Daryl and I went and saw it. Yeah, it was awesome. I know as a Batman fan, you'll enjoy it. It was pretty awesome. So we've been talking music, we've been talking drink theater. What do you got going on out outside of that? I know you told us you like to go fishing. What have you been doing? Have you get any time on the boat? What's going on up there?
Oh, I got no. There's still a little bit of ice in the water there. Here.
No kidding.
No. I mean slush on top of the water. But no, actually, my wife and I a couple of weeks ago were in Mammoth ski resort, Northern California, and skiing down the slopes.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was only 2 weeks ago.
Not a
so
bad.
At the end of March, we were down there. We were in California, which my friends always say that's so funny. You're in Canada and you got all these other ski resorts. And I said I've been to most of them, but and they go, and now you're going down to California. I said, frickin' Mammoth is amazing. It's awesome, blue skies But we've skied a lot of resorts down in the States. But that's what we did for 7 days, my wife and I. And then beyond that, I just, as soon as I got back home from that, I've been just doing interviews every day. And then, the afternoons and evenings are for me to do stuff with my wife, and my kids are around too. So it's cool to see the kids, young adults.
Yes, the young man and young lady.
Man. And, so I can't say kids anymore, but you guys know the reference. But, and anyways, so that's pretty much what I've been doing. I want to watch the last season. Can I call it season of Killing Eve?
Killing Eve, what's that?
What?
Yeah, I don't know that. No, I don't know.
Now I need to know.
What? Guys, go and watch Killing Eve. Okay, so it's on Crave here. That would be HBO down in you guys.
HBO up there is called Crave?
Well, it's gone through Crave.
I got you.
Like through Bell.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We got Bell and Rogers, right? And
Rogers, I'm familiar.
They're the biggest telecommunication companies.
Biggest show in town.
Yeah. So, but check out Killing Eve, guys. You guys are gonna binge it.
What is it about? Like, I'm looking. It's like a spy or something like that.
Yeah. She's an assassin, but
she's a lovely lady assassin, perhaps.
But let me tell you, man, she's the best looking freaking assassin I've ever seen.
Oh man, I'm peaked. Consider me peaked, James.
She's an amazing actress. Like, just freaking, what the hell's her real name? Oh my God, she's gonna. Not that I'm ever gonna bump into her.
I think it's Jodie Comer. Is it called Jodie Comer?
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So guys, okay, so that's I have to watch 4 episodes to finish it. And you guys, if you start watching that, your wives will probably leave you. No, your wives will join you. Your wives will join you. Get your wives to sit down with you and watch this. I'm telling you guys, it's a freaking brilliant show.
I'll add to this. That everybody keeps telling me to watch Yellowstone. I haven't
watched that.
I keep hearing that's great too. That's on my list. It's hard to keep up with. There's so much shit
my God,
out now. It's unbelievable.
No, forget it. It's practically impossible.
Yet I still find myself watching Seinfeld,
we were doing that last week. We were watching all these old Seinfeld laughs.
It's
Yeah.
fucking brilliant. It's still
It is
funny.
brilliant.
It's still funny.
It still makes sense, man, because it's a show about nothing, which is basically happening in front of our eyes every day.
Every
Yeah.
time the mail comes, they say anything interesting come. My wife says, "Nah, just some junk," and I go, "There's no junk mail." I love it, man. I love it. Well, I'll tell you what, James. So happy for you guys with the Grammy. Happy for you with your success with the new solo album, Beautiful Shade of Gray, available everywhere May 20th. Pre-order links are going to be in the show notes here on YouTube, and if you listen to the audio only version of that. What's the best way for people to keep up with you, James, on the old social media there?
Instagram, Twitter, Metaface,
Face Meta,
Face Meta, yeah, all that stuff. And then that's about it. I would say, yeah.
Are you guys? You should get into the NFT game. Start slinging some NFTs around.
Non-fungible tokens.
Yeah, I'd buy a Dream Theater.
Non-fungible.
Right.
Fungible.
Yeah. Hey, listen. You know what I have, man? But it's not non-fungible.
What is it?
No, you know that I still have the leather coat that I wore in Take the Time video.
Dude, let's funge that up.
Yeah, funge,
that
bro.
freaking thing is still in amazing shape.
Yeah, dude.
Probably because I haven't been able to fit into it since 1995.
I'm telling you, there's a fella
I'm
out there.
kidding. But no, I can't. I put it on the other day and I was like, holy shit, was I this small? Wow. No way. But I guess I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now. I don't know, man. It's just freaky. And I'm not heavy. Like I just weighed myself the other day and I'm 185.4. That's
nice.
not bad, is it?
That's not bad.
I mean, you're not you're a tall dude,
Well, I got up to 198 pounds at one point, but I was just seeing how many Guinness I could drink in one night.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you. It sneaks up on you.
That stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
It's like the one time it was put to me properly. It's like, oh, you like beer? That's liquid bread.
Yeah, I do.
That's what it is.
Just
liquid bread. I said, I love
Nice.
that. I'm gonna remember that. Daryl, you got to get me that guy you were quoting me on.
Oh, that's Maya Angelou. She's an American poet. Yeah.
Maya Angelou? Okay.
Maya Angelou. Yeah.
I'll connect you guys after this, and you guys can hook it up. James, seriously, man, thank you so much for your time, and
well,
can't wait
thank you guys.
to see you again in the future.
It's always a pleasure hanging out with you guys. I love you guys, and
likewise.
We're gonna do it again. And Chance said he looks forward to hang with you guys too as well.
Can't wait
for sure.
Thanks,
Love
James.
it, man.